Richard Curry relies on carers who come to his home 4 times a day. It means he can continue to live independently in the community. But he's now nervous that that right could now be taken away.
I live in fear of my independence. It's something I've fought for since the age of 11. And I just think it's an example of how things have gone backwards.
It's people like Richard who could now be forced to move into care homes if it's found that that would be cheaper than staying at home with care provision. An independent investigation has found a postcode lottery when it comes to care provision across the country. Here in the northwest, 4 CCGs or clinical commissioning groups were found to have just a 10% threshold when considering changing a person's care. That means that if the cost is more than 10% more expensive at home, they could be moved into a care home. Well, we contacted those CCGs and they insisted that cost is just one consideration and that patients' care and wishes and also value for money were taken into account. In Manchester, officials stressed to me that while they do have this 10% threshold, it's simply an alert which leads to a review and doesn't necessarily mean a patient's care will change. But Salford MP Barbara Keeley has described the situation as deeply worrying.
If you're going to take people's wishes into account, why set a cap and why set such a low cap? There's only a certain number of groups up and down the country are doing this, of the commissioning groups. I think we really got to ask the question, why do you feel you have to do this? Why don't you give people choice? Why don't you give people independence?
This disability organisation in Manchester agrees.
It's important that people have that choice because there's an equality of human rights. The UK operate under the UN Convention of the Rights of People with Disabilities, and that says that everybody should have the right to live independently in their own home.
Reinstitutionalising disabled people, it might save some money, but the cost to society and the cost to disabled people themselves in terms of dignity and self-worth, it's very difficult not to get angry. Some things are more important than money.
Richard says he will fight any plans to move him in the future, but he fears others may not have as strong a voice as he does.